cameras are on if you are talking. Also press *9 to raise your hand if you are calling in. Otherwise, kind of just give us a wave and we'll talk to you when you're on Zoom. Also, board members and staff, if you could keep yourselves muted during the duration of the hearing unless speaking, it'll help prevent any undue interruptions. At this time, we'll ask for a roll call. Brad?
Member Hockney?
Present.
Member Peterson?
Present.
Member Raymond?
Present.
Member Reindl?
Present.
Member Roche?
Present.
Member Starkey?
Present.
Chair Kappa?
Present.
Board 7.
Sounds good. At this time, if you would stand, and Member Hockney, if you would lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sounds good. Thank you, Member Hockney. Appreciate that. Please note, select items from the application today were submitted earlier ahead of the public hearing and may be presented via screen share during the course of the hearing. Physical evidence germane to the topics of today's agenda have also been previously submitted. However, if there's additional items the petitioner or members of the public desire to submit, for the record, please indicate by raising your hand, and we will take those materials at the close of the hearing. Also, as part of the agenda, members of the public were invited to submit written comments. Comments that were received by 8 a.m. today will be read during the consideration of that item in the order they were received. Comments during the hearing, but after the applicable agenda item will be heard and held till the end of the hearing. Public that is in attendance and wants to speak, please do so by raising your hand or just indicating, and we'll get to you before we vote as well. Questions and comments can be heard from the public or the representatives after the ZBAs had a chance to ask their questions. And public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. So at this time, we are going to start with 615. We're going to go backwards out of order since it's a shorter one. So 000615-2020 in Cuba Township will be our first. And Brad, if you want to present the staff presentation, you're up.
Good morning. Thank you. Applicant seeking a variance at the burden of proving to the Zoning Board of Appeals that the required standards of the UDO have been met, even if there's no objections to a variation. At the conclusion of today's case, the ZBA must make a finding of fact identifying its reasons for granting or denying a variance. The board may require the petitioner to meet certain conditions so that the use allowed by a variance will not have a negative impact on adjacent properties. That the applicant and members of the public will have the opportunity to make suggestions regarding appropriate conditions. ZBA case 000615-2020. The variance request to reduce the street yard setback from 30 feet to 0 feet to construct a garage addition. The applicant is Scott A. Humphrey, who's the record owner. Property address is 24755 North Jensen Avenue, Cary, Illinois. It is approximately 0.56 acres. It's a legal non-conforming lot in the R1 zoning district. The legal notice is published in the Daily Herald on December 26, 2020. Correspondence about the case has been received from Lake County divisions of Engineering, Building, Health, and we also received correspondence from Cuba Township Highway Department. The applicant is Scott Humphrey. I'll be happy to take any questions, but before that, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to elaborate on how we got to this request by our review process.
Sure, sounds good, Brad.
Chris, if you could put up the diagram.
Yes, give me just a minute.
So the request is obviously on the face of it, it's pretty aggressive. It's 30 feet to 0 feet to a street yard setback. And the reason why is that it really all has to do with the platting of the subdivision. So I need to take an overview on how this lot and the adjacent lot was platted. So the subject property is in purple. That was part of what's called the Drillick subdivision in 1953. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots. And if you look below that, just adjacent to the north side of the Fox River is the Riverlawn subdivision. That was platted in 1932. Chris, if you can go to the second page. So here we have both subdivisions. If you could scroll down slightly more to the Riverlawn subdivision, I'm gonna start with that one first. So you have a multi-lot subdivision. You have these platted roads. You have the Fox River Drive, which is on the south side. And you see Jensen there, and along with some other streets. So you have looks like Bacon and Sylvester. They have those as platted roads. That's anticipation of lots being built along those platted roads. They were platted as such. So sometimes lots and roads get improved, sometimes they're not. In this case, from the aerials that I saw in my inspection, most of them were built out with the exception of that Beacon Drive. Nonetheless, Chris, if you want to go back up to the Drillick subdivision. So in 1953, just north of that River Lawn subdivision was the Drillick subdivision. Lot 5 is where the owner, Scott Humphrey, lives. There was a platting quirk on this. So there was not an official extension of this Jensen Avenue. The font is pretty small, but it's effectively an easement. It says Forest Street. So when we first met with the applicant, our first intention was, well, let's try to see if we can do a street vacation. Well, after talking with our attorney, this technically is not a platted road. So he was ineligible for a street vacation. So that was not available. So if you want to zoom slightly out, Krista. So our next option, well, let's modify the plat via a plat amendment. And what that requires is reviewed by the staff and it has to go all the way to the Public Works Planning and Transportation Committee for any type of plat amendment. However, any plat amendment requires the lot owners of the entire subdivision, all the other 5 lot owners, would have to be a signatory on the plat. So in this case, there was no option for a vacation or no option for a plat amendment really wasn't available. So he has a street yard, which he can't vacate, and the plat amendment really wasn't a viable option. So the variance was the last option for the applicant. What he did, Krista, if you want to go back to maybe the aerial. So the purple line actually goes right into where the road designation was. But if you go to where the green line is, that is where we take the 30-foot setback. We would draw a line sort of northwest there. Maybe if you go to the site plan, Krista, it's on page 3. There we go. So there's our site plan. So you see, technically I have it labeled as Jensen Avenue, but it's not platted as such. It's more of an easement. So we did confer with Cuba Township Highway Department. They have no objection to the request. They have no intention on improving that portion of the road. There's a substantial sized wetland that's to the north owned by McHenry County Conservation District. So I just wanted to paint a picture for the board. That is how we came to our opinion on the staff report of recommending approval for the variance.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks for the explanation, Brad. Any questions of board members before I swear in staff and the applicant? Seeing none at this time for ZBA case 615 and 614 applicant, and then staff, if you would raise your hand and we can swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do. Sounds good.
Additionally, Mr. Chairman, I also have the original application and deal with the planning department staff.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks, Brad. If there's no question of any board members at this time, Mr. Humphrey, if you are there, we will turn it over to you to give an explanation on what's going on over there, and then we'll ask some questions after that.
Hello, everyone. I don't have too much to say, just that we've kind of been around the loop a few times here to figure out how we were going to pull this off. I've modified the garage and such to meet the accommodations and the regulations of the roadway and the offsets and the things that we need. So, yeah, the only thing that I'm asking is to accept this variance so that I can build this garage in the size that's going to be suitable to my family, and we can kind of move forward. It's about the only thing I got.
Sounds good. We'll see if the board has any questions of it. Member Hockney, we'll start with you with questions.
I have no questions.
No questions. All right. Thanks, Denny. Member Peterson.
No questions.
No questions. Perfect. Member Raymond.
Okay, first of all, I was intrigued by the angle. Normally we deal with right angles, and then in this case, the drawing is at at about a 33 1/3 degree angle. It looks like a very, very large area there. My only question that I have in looking at the third sheet is the roof. I'm concerned about snow load. With all of this roofing, how is that going to be handled? It looks like there's some kind of a saddle that's going to be put on a hip roof, or how is that going to be worked out?
Member Raymond, I would defer to Bob Springer, our building official, to answer that question.
Good. I was glad Bob's there.
Good morning, everyone. I've looked at the plans. The plans were prepared by a licensed architect that our department is familiar with. He has confirmed that the roof will support a 30-pound per square foot snow load. So I don't have any concerns with how the roof is framed. I did see that saddle, and that's a good question because that does create a problem there. When you marry two roofs together, it adds a lot of weight, but the architect has in fact confirmed that it meets the requirements.
Good, good. That was my only question and concern that I have. Enjoy the new space.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marv. Member Reindl.
Yes, the throat of the garage, will that extend beyond? Yes, the throat of the garage, will that extend beyond the property line, or is that where it ends?
No, the roof overhang is technically at the 0 foot mark, and the wall, it's at the 1 foot mark. From where that we're calling the street setback line.
Excuse me, Brad, I'm talking about the throat of the garage. That little pavement before the garage doors. Does that extend beyond, or is that the property line? Does that end at the property line?
Christy, you want to go to the site plan maybe? On page 3.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Did that answer your question, John?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, sounds good. Member Roche.
I do not have any questions, I believe.
Okay, sounds good. And Member Starkey.
Thank you. I do not have any questions either.
Perfect. Sounds good. I don't have any questions either. Brad, thanks for the explanation. That's a couple things that I had in my mind, so I'm good with it. Any members, it seems like everybody's okay with it, so I'm not going to go on. Any members have any issues with it? If you do, speak up now and we can hear them. Otherwise, we'll assume everybody's okay with it. Hearing none. Mr. Humphreys, anything you have to say before we close testimony and make a vote?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there might be somebody that's
Hello.
adjacent property owner.
Is there a adjacent property owner there?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Can you just state your name and address for the record and go ahead and let us know what you've got?
Hello. Could you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Just go ahead and state your name and address for the
Okay.
record.
This is Joe Birch, and I've got my husband Walter Birch here. The address is 24. Our address is 2476. Here, I'll let you talk.
Hello, my name is Walter Birch. I'm a co-owner of the property. His property, from the very back of his property to the very front of his property, which borders Jensen Avenue, where it borders my property, is on a 40% incline. All of the runoff from stormwater and snow runs directly onto my Jensen Steep property that is in a wetland. All I want an improved, by the township, draining system put in that will hook up to our original drainage system, which is only a few feet from his driveway, the entrance to his property.
Mr. Chairman, if I could try to address Mr.
Yep, go
Burke's
ahead, Brett.
question. So any township improvements will have to be requested to directly with Cuba Township. When an applicant.
I'm asking for a postponement because I have applied to the Freedom of Information Act due to the fact that the counter is not open at the Building and Planning Department. So I have to go through the Freedom of Information Act. I've had trouble linking up with the link that they gave me, so I'm in touch with the building department to be able to address this issue.
Mr. Birch, can I just ask Mr. Birch, is this a problem that's been ongoing that you've had for a while, I assume?
Yes, it has. I dispute the boundary line that they're measuring from. I also have a dispute. There's always been a land dispute. I contend that when I bought the property, I looked for the marker. I could not find a marker. I called the surveyor that done the work. I called his company. He told me he put a marker there with a flag on it for identification. I went and I looked again. I did not find a marker. But I walked farther back into the conservation area. I found a stick broken in half with a flag on it laying on the ground. So I don't think that the property line is as it shows. He will be building on my property, is my contention.
We have the most current survey here, and I believe, Brad, you can verify that staff has reviewed it as well. And from the survey that we've got before us, it does show the most current layout of the land. So that's what we have to go off of. If there's an issue that you have with the runoff, as Brad said, that would be the township to handle. We really don't deal with that. That's not in our purview. And then when it comes to any difference of opinion you may have legally with property lines, that's something, unfortunately, we don't get involved in with either. That would be between the property owners. But Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but what we have today is the accurate property lines and the plot that we've got from the surveyors on the most recent survey.
No,
I have another concern.
Okay, go right ahead.
I want to know how tall this building is going to be if it's going to be directly on his property line, because it'll be blocking the west sun. That is basically the only thing that dries this wetland out. I mean, I'd like to see saturation tests pulled before any building starts, due to the fact that the ground is so saturated here. Our groundwater level is so high, and the ground is so saturated that I don't think that this ground will support an additional garage.
Mr. Humphreys, do you have the height of the new garage there?
It is no taller than the existing house.
Other board members,
But where the garage is going to end is going to be 25, almost 20 feet lower than what the level of the house is.
So, Mr.
How do you account for that?
Mr. Chairman, I try to address some of the questions.
Sure, go ahead, Brad.
When an applicant comes to our department for a building permit, more often than not, there's an associated site development permit where there's any earth moving and grading. I do have Joel Kraus from my engineering division here who can answer any questions regarding drainage. As far as the height, based on the size of the lot and the lot width, technically, the ordinance allows the applicant to go up to 40 feet. From his plans, it's approximately 20 to 25 feet in height. So we have to allow the applicant to go up to the maximum if he so desires. Joel, did you want to talk about any of the drainage issues?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. This is Joel. Yes, from a site development standpoint, we would be looking at ensuring that the existing drainage patterns are being maintained with this development. So we would not allow any diversions or any alterations to the existing runoff, so to speak. So basically, we would be ensuring through the permitting process that the neighbor to the east would not be seeing any adverse impact. The water would be flowing in the course of natural drainage, and he basically should not be seeing any more adverse impacts. We would review that as part of our permitting process, and we will make sure, I've made note of it when I look over the permit application and stuff, that this is more closely known and reviewed to make sure that the nothing adversely impacts the neighboring property.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joel. Mr. Birch, were you able to get that they'll keep an extra eye on it too, based on the concerns that you've raised today?
Yes. Now, what about parking? The road ends at his driveway. Legally, the road ends after his driveway entrance, going north. Where is he going to park cars, trucks? Where is all this construction equipment going to go? Because you're talking about excavators, caterpillars, you're talking major excavation to build this property up so that it'll appear to be level. I'd like to know where all we've been under construction practically every year since I've lived here with his property. And it's always a problem with where everybody parks. They want to park on my property. We have no sidewalks here. We have no curves here. We only have property. And they park on my property line. And the mess, because you're dealing with muck. You're not dealing with dirt, you're dealing with muck. And it permits the concrete, and it takes months and months to go away. And I'm really concerned more about parking, because I see several vehicles and several trailers. A total count of 7 at the current moment are on his property and in his driveway. 7 vehicles, and 2 are in a garage. So I have traffic concerns. With construction coming and going, where are all the workers going to park? We do not have any on-road parking here. The road is not wide enough for on-road parking. When the end of Jensen, according to the road commissioner from Cuba Township, the past road commissioner, was a turnaround that was built for the U.S. postal system. He has trailers parked on property that was designated as a turnaround, when the postal truck made a turnaround, it would be lined up with his mailbox.
Mr. Birch, if I could just interrupt you briefly, if there are concerns about that, unfortunately, we're not the board that would really handle those concerns. That would be a township concern if there's parking that's taking place.
I'm asking for a delay on this variance until these issues can be taken care of. I have consulted an attorney. He is referring me to another attorney, and then I can go from there. I'll be represented by a lawyer.
Okay. I'll ask the board members.
I have consulted with Joe Maggio in Palatine. He's handled my real estate in the past, and he was going to refer me to another attorney because he doesn't handle this kind of thing.
Sure. Let me see if the board members have any questions of your testimony and your questions. If you just hold for a second, Mr. Birch. Board members, any questions of the follow-up we've heard from the neighbor?
Are you talking to me?
I'm just asking the board members if they have hearing none so far. Based on the site plan that we have today and your comments, Mr. Birch, I would advise you, I guess, to go to the township if you have parking issues and concerns. From what we've heard so far, and I don't mean to speak for all the other board members, so far it does look like it meets the standards that we would have to allow for this to proceed. We'll have that vote in just a minute to see. And I would ask Mr. Humphreys if you would work with that neighbor, Mr. Birch, when you are having construction done, and be a good neighbor as you're doing that. It would be much appreciated. We can't, our hands are off on that, but I think it would go a long ways if you do that as well.
I have no issues with that.
Okay, sounds good. Mr. Birch, anything else you wanted to add before I turn it back over to the board for any comments they might have?
Well, I just find it hard to believe that they're going to allow such a large add-on to what is already an existing add-on. I just don't see how it's going to be structurally sound and safe.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your concerns. We do appreciate them and we do listen to them. At this time, I'll start. Member Hockney, how do you feel about this case before we close testimony?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, sounds good. Member Peterson.
I'm fine with it.
Thanks, Maria. Member Raymond.
I have no problems.
Sounds good. Member Reindl.
I'm fine with it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Member Roche.
I'm okay.
And Member Starkey.
I am fine with the proposal. I hope that Mr. Humphrey does work with his neighbor to alleviate the parking and those other concerns.
Absolutely. Thank you. Same comments there too. And I'm okay with it too. At this motion, we need a motion in order to go ahead and close testimony at this time would be in order.
I make a motion to promote.
Motion from Member Starkey, second from Member Peterson, that we be closed on testimony. Any discussions?
You want to take a, Mr. Chairman, want to take a roll call?
Yep, roll call vote would be great, Brett.
Member Starkey,
Aye.
Member Peterson,
Aye.
Member Hockney,
Aye.
Member Raymond,
Aye.
Member Reindl,
Aye.
Member Roche.
Aye.
Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
Testimony is closed.
Sounds good. At this time, a motion would be in order on the case.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended condition for the garage addition for case number 000615-2020. That it be in accordance with the application and the recommendations of the ZBA.
Sounds good. That'll be to reduce setback from 30 feet to 0 feet for the garage. Member Peterson makes that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Member Raymond. Any discussion? Brad, roll call.
Member Peterson,
Aye.
Member Raymond,
Aye.
Member Hockney,
Aye.
Member Reindl,
Aye.
Member Roche, Member Starkey,
Aye.
Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
Variations passed with condition 7-0.
Sounds good. Mr. Humphreys, you can work with staff as you move forward. And Mr. Birch, thank you for your testimony today, and hope you both can be in contact with each other and it's a smooth operation over there. So thank you both. We'll take a break quick just to allow staff and everybody else to get going, and we'll start on the final case in 2 minutes here. I think our applicant is on board.
And might as well get a cigar.
All right, I think that gave staff a chance to get the next case up to share. And if so, we will turn it back to Brad again for the staff report on 614-2020.
Morning, thank you again. ZBA case 00614-2020. A variance request to, one, allow an accessory structure greater than 576 square feet on a non-contiguous parcel. Two, to reduce the north side street yard setback from 30 feet to 22.5 feet. Three, to reduce the south side street yard setback from 30 feet to 21 feet. And four, to increase the height of an accessory structure from 20 feet to 21.16 feet. The applicant is Diane G. Eller Trust. The Diane G. Eller and James A. Eller trustees are the record owners. Property address is 25933 West Wilson Road in Antioch, Illinois. It is approximately 0.25 acres and is a legal non-conforming lot in the R1 zoning district. Legal notice is published in the Daily Herald on December 26, 2020. Correspondence for the case has been received in Lake County Divisions of Engineering, Building, and Health Department. The applicant, Jim Eller, will present the case today. For the record, I do have the original application and deed on file. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Good, thanks, Brad. Any questions from the board of staff? Hearing none. Mr. Eller, you are up if you want to give us a rundown of what you're doing over there, and then we'll follow up with any questions that we might have.
There we go. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. This is my maiden voyage on a zoning board, so it's kind of interesting. The story behind it, without going to the version of War and Peace, my wife and I bought the home that's on 25934 Wilson, directly across the street, back in the 80s. It was a little 2-bedroom cottage. You know, we remodeled it a couple times. I have my builder friend Paul Oraida on the Zoom with me, and when we bought it, there was no parking whatsoever on the property. If you look at it, it's got a hill, and the prior owner basically parked in the front yard. And so my neighbor next to me, directly to the east, when she passed away, the family sold me that lot across the street, and because she always would let me park there kindly, and raised 2 kids. I live in Mundelein. We're selling that home, hopefully, and my plan was to eventually move up to the cottage. It's just us, and the home that we have, we would sell, and then hopefully build this garage, take some of the stuff that we've accumulated for 30 years and have a place to store it, because there is no storage space, unfortunately, in the existing home that we have up there. There is also no place that we can build a garage on that property. So that's kind of the game plan. And I want to thank Brad again for helping me walk through this process, because it was very complicated. He made it easy. Thank you, Brad.
Great, sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Eller. We'll start with board member questions. We'll start with member Starkey if you have any questions.
I had a quick question. I see the open carport on the kind of the northwest side of the property, but there's no driveway access to that. So how would you access that for a vehicle?
Well, there should be a driveway access on the plan.
If you want to go to the site plan.
Yes, I will be pull that up right now.
Thank you. So according to the diagram I have, as well as that's shown here, it just shows the driveway to the garage doors. So I just didn't know the purpose of that extra structure.
Yeah, so that's a good question. And if it's not, we could adjust that. But I currently have a boat, and my idea was, there's a lot of stuff that you have when you're a boater. The carport would allow me to put the boat underneath that. So it's not like right now, if you looked out the property, it's sitting in the middle of the yard there. And I thought that was a more aesthetic way of, storing the boat, but I don't have enough. I mean, I'd have to make the garage even bigger if I wanted to store it inside.
Okay, so the driveway would be extended to allow for that according to the plan then?
Yeah, and if it was an issue, obviously I'm only going to store it there. If I put gravel down just to get it under the carport, I'm fine with that too. It's not like I got to have a bigger driveway per se. I just need to have some access to get the boat in there underneath the carport.
Okay, that answers my question, and I have no other questions about the property or the proposal.
Okay, great. Thanks, Linda. Member Roche.
My question was, do you know how many trees you're going to have to take down?
It's a good question. Off the top of my head, the answer is no. I already trimmed most of the property. Was a very scrub brush, like bushes and stuff. And a year and a half ago, I cleared all that out, so that there may be a couple of trees that need to come down that are in the structure's footprint, but not. I would guess maybe not more than 3-ish.
Okay. We ran into one of your neighbors when we drove by this weekend to see, and he told me that he was fine with it. So that was nice to hear that you had your neighbor's support.
Yeah, well, all my neighbors, when I was talking to Brad, they whenever they have an outing, because but this subdivision was built back in the day where there's not a lot of parking. So you can obviously imagine this is the community parking lot on the corner, because everybody, when they have an outing, I'm just like, yeah, park over there. I don't care. So.
Good.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Meg. Member Randall.
I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Member Raymond.
Okay, am I on?
Yep, you are on.
First of all, in the drawing that you submitted, what was the scale used on it? Because I was trying to figure it out with my scale. Granted, this is an old-fashioned method, and I couldn't figure it out.
I didn't catch that question. I'm sorry.
I think the question was, what scale did you use?
What scale on that? Because in your drawing, it just says scale noted. And I couldn't find this note of the scale. Because the reason I was trying to find the scale is the height of the building bothers me. And to drop the height down, how could that spread the amount of space you'd have in the haymow?
Well, I can't speak to the scale because I'm not an architect, but I know that, my architect, Ray Nowak, put everything out, and it is to the dimensions and the lot. I will tell you that, if the property's height is an issue, it's no difficulty just dropping it down 1.16 feet. I'm trying to get as much storage space because, like I said, as you can imagine, living in a house for 34, 35 years, you accumulate some stuff. So.
Well, I can sympathize with that because I've lived out here on my property for almost 30 years too. And I plan to escape by being planted. Okay, my other question is, what kind of electric service are you going to be putting into this garage?
Paul, I don't know if you can speak to that.
What amperage?
It just be the standard stuff, but Paul, I'm not an electrician, so I just need electric to fund the lights and a garage door opener. That's it. So Paul, do you know what that would be? You got to click your unmute button. This is maiden voyage, everyone. It's either lower left or top if you're using it.
Got it.
There you go.
I'd imagine we put in a standard 100 amp service.
100 amp service. Okay. My other question is, you have a haymow door on the back side. Why have that?
I'm sorry, say that again.
and you have two haymow doors. Now, I'm using barn terminology because I live on a farm and I have several barns. You have a haymow door over the garage door, which I can understand. Why do you have one on the other side?
Honestly, I thought those were windows on the top level. Are you talking about? I thought they were windows. So I didn't specify to Ray to put hay mount doors. I would rather have windows.
Yeah. Okay, and your garage door is what, 7-foot high door?
Paul?
6 foot.
Paul, you know the answer to that?
I do not.
I would
I do
assume
not.
it's standard.
And as far as scale, I don't know how you could get to scale either. I didn't see that on there. Just scale it out with your ruler.
Yeah.
Member Raymond, any other questions?
Well, I just have some real concern about having a building like this with this kind of space and a rather large stairway going upstairs, that this space up above could be used for other purposes than for storage.
I don't know.
Well, in answer to that, we're not doing water. We're not doing septic. I'm not doing anything other than putting electric in because the intent is to have storage, period.
Okay. Okay.
Period.
That answers my question then. Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mara. Member Peterson.
You said something that you wouldn't mind lowering the garage a foot or so. What did you mean by that?
So one of the things that Brad mentioned to me when we were going through this process was, hey, you know, the code says it can only be 20 feet tall. And when my architect friend Ray designed it, I came back to him and said, hey, you know, there may be an issue with the height of this thing. He said, that's no problem. I just reduced the lower level by a foot, 1.16 feet, and you have less steps. It's not a problem.
So you're talking about then the riser at the base of the stairs, you're going to make that flat? Or are you actually talking about the foundation going below grade?
No, in other words, shrinking the lower level of the garage, the storage and the space there. Yeah, where you're going there.
Gotcha.
So by a foot, by 1.16 feet.
Okay.
And that wouldn't be any problem, right? When I talked to him yesterday or the day before that, he said, Jim, it's a no big deal. And he said, and you have less wood because you're going to take out some steps. I joked around with him. So.
Well, actually, you'll get more floor space by lowering it a foot. No, well, not really. No. Okay, that was a concern. And then Member Starkey asked the question I had too about what you were planning on doing for a driveway to the carport. But if you're cool with gravel, so long as the site looks attractive, that's fine.
Yeah.
No other questions. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Member Peterson. Member Hockney.
So I understand that your action, even though the plans show the height of that the building, it's actually going to be 20 feet.
Yeah, we could adjust it. Yes.
Okay, that was my other concern. I also had that concern about the trees. There's a number of very large trees there that I was concerned about. Not the small trees, but the large trees.
Yeah, and some of those trees, by the way, I'm an arborist too. I'm a big outdoors person. Unfortunately, I don't know what it is up there, but I've noticed that a lot of the bigger trees have gotten, maybe it's age, maybe it's whatever, but there's like one of the ones that you can't see, it's on the corner. It's got like mold. It's on the easement. It's not actually on my property. And I've noticed I lost a couple of really big ones in the back like several years ago. And I don't have an explanation for it. I can't tell you, but I took out one big tree that was dying and it was leaning over Wilson. And I'm like, God, I don't want it to have that fall, knock out my neighbor's garage or his house or something like that. So I took out a big one already. Yeah, there's my neighbor's house.
See, those are fairly large trees for seeing.
Those trees aren't getting taken out. That is my house. And as you can see, there's no driveway. There's no place to park cars.
Well, I've been there. I saw your boat. I saw the large tree.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Jenny, any other questions?
No, that was my major concern, was really the height and also the trees.
Okay.
But apparently the height is not an issue any longer. But
Yeah, and that was going to be my question there. Are you okay then removing item number 4? So we'll no longer be asking for the increase in height for the accessory structure from 20 feet to 21.6 feet, and just want to make sure the applicant's okay that we remove that.
Sure.
Sounds good. We will take that off to satisfy the questions. I don't have any questions either. I did want to make sure it wasn't going to be used as an Airbnb or a rental or a quarters for someone to live in. So I'm content with there being no water or sewer brought to there or septic either. Any neighbors on the line, Brad? Do we have anyone that wanted to speak to this?
No, just for the record, I would actually have the applicant state directly that he's eliminating the request to increase the height of accessory structure from 20 feet to 21.6 feet from his application.
This is James Eller. I am eliminating item number 5 on the application to increase the structure height from 20 feet to 21.16 feet. And we will amend the architectural plans to reflect that.
Thank you.
Sounds good. We appreciate that. Thank you. And before we close testimony, since there were some comments and conversations, I'm just going to go around to the board to make sure everybody is on board with it and see if there are any other final questions. Member Hockney, how you feeling?
I'll go along with it. I'm still a little concerned about the trees, but I'll go along with it.
Okay. Thanks, Danny. Member Peterson?
Aye.
Okay. Favor. Member Raymond, how you feeling?
With the height down to 20 feet, I have no problem.
Sounds good. Member Reindl?
Appears to be the most efficient way to utilize that property with the storage and all. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Sounds good. Member Roche?
I'm sorry, I have one more question just about the design of it. Is the design of the garage to kind of match your house siding and roofing wise? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that when I talked with Brad about, I said, my goal is to have the same color, the brown with the white trim as the existing house. So that, and we were talking about using the same siding. And Paul's the one that redid the siding and did all the trim on the existing house. We did that, and we started that in 2019, Paul, right? Yeah, and we finished it up, so we should be good. There you go.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. That was my last question.
Awesome.
I'm okay, Greg.
Great clarification. Good question. And Member Starkey?
I'm fine with the proposal. I also live on water, and I have a similar garage situation, and the storage comes in very handy. So I can appreciate his need for extra storage.
Awesome. Sounds good. I have no issues either. Makes sense. Thanks for eliminating number 4 on there. And I do not have any issues at all. Thanks for being a good neighbor and letting your other neighbors park there too. I know it's always hard around lake property. With that, before we close testimony, Mr. Eller, any final comments before we go for a vote?
No, this was a unique experience.
Good. With that, motion would be in order to close testimony at this time.
So moved.
Move from Denny.
Second.
Second from Member Peterson. Any discussion? Brad, a roll call.
Member Hockney?
Aye.
Member Starkey?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Raymond?
Aye.
Member Reindl?
Aye.
Member Roche?
Aye.
And Chair Cappan?
Aye.
Motion's closed, or testimony's closed, excuse me.
Sounds good. And motion is in order to for case 614. Somebody wants to make that for
I'll make the motion. Make a motion to approve case number 0000614-2020, approving the construction of a garage with an attached carport according to the applicant's dimensions. And I think that's it.
Can you read off the 1, 2, and 3, Maria, just because Brad likes them, and usually then they'll be happy.
With recommendation number 1, that I'm sorry. One second.
Yeah, just the front page.
I'm usually more prepared than this. Sorry. Okay.
No worries.
Number 1, construction of the structure must be in accordance with the 2012 International Residential Code. Number 2, the use of structure must be in accordance with Lake County Code. And number 3, that its harmony is in general purpose with the intent of the zoning regulations.
Sounds good. And I think the only other thing on page 1 of the staff report, Maria, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3. That's, I think, what Brad's usually looking for, just to make sure we have it in the minutes. I can read them off if you just agree with them. To allow the accessory structure greater than 576 square feet on a non-contiguous parcel. 2, to reduce the north side street yard setback from 30 feet to 22.25 feet. And to reduce the south side street yard setback from 30 feet to 21 feet. And I know that's what you were going to say.
There it is. It's literally right in front of me and I'm missing it. Thank you.
No worries. First from Peterson, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I heard a second from member Starkey first. We'll give it to her. Any discussion? Seeing none, Brad, a roll call on the motion.
Member Peterson,
Aye.
member Starkey,
Aye.
member Hockney,
Aye.
member Raymond,
Aye.
member Rindle,
Aye.
member Roche,
Aye.
and Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
3 variances are passed 7-0.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Eller. Good luck. And if you need anything, reach out to staff and they will be in contact as you move forward with your project.
And I would like to thank everyone. I didn't say this earlier because I didn't want to influence, but you probably saved a marriage.
I heard the warranty. There was something there.
So thank you, guys.
Good. Happy we could do that too. Good luck.
Thank you.
Real quick, board members, and then we'll turn it over to staff. I think the only thing coming down, Brad will be emailing us a link. Every year we're required by the state and the county to complete an online training. I think it's more of an ethics and sexual harassment training. Brad's waiting for a link on that. Once you're done with that, it'll give you a certificate at the end that you will print off. Brad just needs to keep that on file for all the board members. Brad, what else do we have going on there? Krista?
Yeah, in addition to that, the link will be for the Open Meetings Act.
That's right.
It's like the chair said, you'll just print off your certificate at the end and send it to me. It takes no more than about 15-20 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. The 2021 version is not available till the beginning of the month, so I'll be looking for that first week of February.
Sounds good. How are we looking for February?
Right now, we have our training, I think is Wednesday, February 10th. I need to look at the calendar here.
The 11th.
The 11th, Wednesday, the 11th?
Or wait, is it a Wednesday? I'm sorry, is it Wednesday or Thursday? The 10th is a Wednesday.
The Wednesday.
Okay. So
And what time is that?
Right now, we have it at 9.
9 a.m. Perfect. And that should take, how long are they guessing on that one?
Hour and a half.
Okay, so we'll say 9 to 10:30 or so. That would work great.
And we're anticipating a couple variance cases in February. And at some point we will get, we're still working out the fine tuning the amendments to the UDO to comply with the WDO. So those are still in the pipeline, but you'll be seeing them at some point.
Sounds good. Nothing else, staff, any of the board members?
So I'll have these resolutions from these cases, I would say by Monday. If you want to stop in and sign those. If you want to drop off your petition at the same time, that'd be fantastic. If you want to email, that's fine too. And Krista, I think our per diem has changed. The mileage, I don't remember it off the top of my head. Do you remember, Krista?
It did. I think we'll get that info. It changed by a cent or two. We'll get that information to you.
Perfect. Sounds good. Any board members have anything since we haven't seen you for a month? Seeing none, somebody to make a motion that we're adjourned and we'll be out of here.
So moved.
So move.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marv. And this meeting is adjourned. Thanks to all. We will wait to hear from Brad on the dates for February. And if you could get over there and sign those forms once Brad has those done, he'll reach out to you. But have a great day, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.